Hi FRC fam! Again, it's Chai.
And Rap, and welcome to our Father's Day special entitled A Father's Legacy, an exclusive on fatherhood and sonship. So for this episode, we'll be hearing from a family of 3 generations on their experience of being fathers and being sons. Exciting.
Yes, exciting to kasi bigatin din yung guest natin today. So hindi ko na patatagalin to our FRC fam out there. Let us all welcome the Padilla Family. So we have Javi, who is the current Servant General of Missionary Families of Christ. And we also have the founder,
Tito
Frank. And of course, our youngest guest for today, we have Franco. Welcome!
Hello, FRC.
Yes, so 3 generations tayo.
3
Of course, we have
generations.
Franco.
Who is heir apparent.
Member.
A very active member. Okay, so actually for this episode naman, Tito Frank, we also wanna get to know yung look back tayo, right? Nung pinapalaki niyo pa lang mo dito si Javi. Because we also wanna shed some light on like the differences of how your fatherhood has been. So, syempre, on the years back, parang, paano ba yun Tito Frank na pinapalaki niyo si Javi?
Well, yung generation namin was, as you all know, very, very different. You know, the culture, the situation in the country, in the world, ibang-iba talaga. You know. But I was raised in a Catholic home with very strong Catholic parents, went to Catholic schools. So, ingrained naman yung faith life. You know. And when I started to have my own family, I tried to bring that into our life as well. I guess there were the usual challenges, a lahat naman, no? And I think that's really a part of it, that there will be challenges, because that helps deepen your faith life, no? And your appreciation of what God can do. Here we are. I think it turned out pretty well. And after him, Franco. So, I don't know, there are many different things, but generally, it's been a good journey.
Is there a specific experience of raising sons for you? I mean, raising Javi in particular, that you felt were different from the times when you were raising Javi to how it is now in terms of cultures of fatherhood and building up men? Yeah.
It's very different now. Ako personally, I don't know if I can cope if I was the one actively raising kids, no? Kasi unang-una, as you know very well, social media. During our time, walang social media. No? Wala pa. And all of these are radical developments that have come up, but they are a challenge. Kasi they have the attention of the kids, they influence the kids, no? They emulate people who are just out there who do not necessarily give the right values. No? So very challenging. During our time, hindi masyado. Kasi medyo conservative pa noon or nothing radical in, just the usual. Kid might get into trouble here and there and that kind of thing.
Sa mga kapitbahay, ganun, friendships.
Wala masyadong exposure eh.
Today, very, very difficult. And that's why I appreciate Javi's raising Franco, and all the generations now.
Yes. Pero Tito Franco, diba, you're also the founder now of Missionary Families of Christ. I think what we wanna also understand, paano nyo naman yung pinagsabay being the father of Javi? Like, how did you also find that balance and like that dynamic also?
That could be a challenge, and every now and then, from my kids, other than Javi, minsan nagtatampo, sinasabi, you were out a lot of the time during my birthday, you were out on mission. So, very, very challenging. Pero kasi, we also ingrained into them the life that God had called us to. So, first priority is Christ and His mission. So, that means having to leave them at times even during very important events. Yung nga, like birthdays or graduation. I think generally they understand and hopefully appreciate. It helped me and my wife to be better parents to them because we were more properly grounded on what was important. The Lord first and foremost, and then the family. So yun yung passing on down the line, and in our relationship and actions, yun yung
base, parang foundation.
Foundation for it all.
I see.
And naintindihan naman ni Javi.
Actually, we can ask from
yeah.
Avi, like, how was your experience of receiving Tito Frank's fatherhood?
Actually, well, probably while we were growing up and still young, because he founded Missionary Families of Christ, 1981. I was just 6 years old then. So at that
Very
time,
young.
yeah, and during the early years, we lived already in Antipolo. There was no landline, there were no cell phones in our place. We had no neighbors. It was just me and my cousin. So there was really no one to talk to. And when they go on mission, there was no social media, like he said. So we didn't know where they were, what was happening to them. And when they said they would leave and this is when they'd arrive, we just expect them on that day to arrive. We didn't know if they were alive or dead or whatever happened wherever they were around
No
the world.
news at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess you can say at that time when I was that young, there was maybe some resentment that why are you leaving? And you're serving the Lord, you're going to do this for community, but we don't know where you are. We have no updates. But as you get older, you realize that it's for your own benefit. I met my wife in community. We raised our kids in community. Our best friends are all from our community. So they are building this network of families that eventually has benefited us a lot.
Was there a specific time that you come to a point of understanding na, kaya pala sila busy kasi importante naman yung ginagawa? Because of course, when you're a kid, like, you don't really understand what your parents are really doing, right? You just want to have like time with them. So I think I want to understand also like when do you come
was
to a
that?
point that you understood na, this is the purpose
Para
of
yung
what they're doing.
full circle moment, di ba? Na some things you understand when you're already a parent.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
was there a specific instance or experience of yours na parang, ito pala yun. Ito
Yeah.
yung pinagdaanan din ng father ko.
There was a lot of times growing up kasi na ayoko talaga maging part ng community because nga maybe resentment or not understanding it. They would force us to join activities but we didn't really want to be there.
Yeah.
But there was one time na they sent us to the Visayas. We did a love forum on tour. Pero salingkit lang ako because I didn't really want to be there. But that's when I realized and I saw that people's lives were being changed by the messages that they have been giving in community, by the talks that they've been given. They don't know who my parents are because they're so far away. They're in the province. But because of all the work that they've done, their lives were changed. And that's when I really saw that, hey, this is the real thing. And that's when I realized this is something I also want for my life. And at that time, I wasn't married, but my future wife and future kids.
So it's something that you picked up while being with your father na parang, ito pala yung ginagawa ng father ko. And
Sometimes you have to realize it on your own.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
not before.
Own timing.
Yeah. Because I'm not sure, like, was there ever a conversation between you two about yung mission and like wanting to pass whatever you do to Javi? May specific bang instance na pag-usapan natin
I suppose we had those times.
But most of it is really just catching vision.
Yeah, osmosis.
And, like, osmosis, there you go.
That is the key.
By virtue of like having or seeing what your father
parang
does.
iba yung when you're being told or when you're
Yes.
talking about it. Iba when you see it.
Yes, yes.
By witnessing. So I
Yes.
think that was more powerful.
Yes.
Tsaka
Saka you live the
na-experience.
environment. Kaya yung family environment, the home,
Yes.
is so crucial.
Because a lot of it is not talked about. It's really just lived
Yeah,
and experienced.
they see
Yeah.
that there's prayer, they see that there are crucifixes, and we pray before meals, and hopefully the interrelationships are going fairly well. Lalo-lalo na pag makita nila na sa ibang mga pamilya, mga kaibigan nila and classmates, the relationships or the family are not that good. So hopefully that's there without a word being said. Oh, this is nice.
And I think ang galing nung catch na, I think Tito Frank, na you brought Javi to the experience, like to the mission. Kasi I feel like yun yung bihira din na moment to have with your kid. Na makita nila yung maintindihan nila kung ano yung purpose nung ginagawa. And a lot of kids would just feel like, absent yung parents ko, barkada na lang
Yeah,
ako.
they're doing their own thing
Yes.
anyways, not being as involved.
Oo.
So maybe we can ask the third generation
Yes.
among us right now. So ikaw naman, Franco, how has your experience been? Ano yung mga, at your age right now, how old are you again, Franco?
14.
14, okay. So at your age, teenager, like, are there already stuff that you've captured na parang, oh, I like this for my life?
So I think I've always been MFC since I was born, since my dad always brought me there. And every time I go there, I see either my grandpa or my dad give a talk.
Yeah.
And then every time I'm there, I listen. And then you can really learn and hear what they're saying because their voice is loud enough and it's a really good talk you listen to. And I think when I'm there, I understand how hard it is to do those stuff and how difficult it is to also raise kids on the side of that. I try my best to learn from those talks and also be a better person.
So it's like there's an appreciation of the messages that you hear from what your father and your lolo does. Yeah.
It's like the same with Javi, I think, that you were also exposed to what your dad was also doing.
Early enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's also nice that you see them doing these talks. I want to go back to Javi, like having to grow up also very different. No? Like you said kanina, walang cellphone.
Yeah.
There's no way to know kung okay yung parents nyo.
Yeah.
How is it very different with raising Franco here? Na parang, of course, you're always busy too. Like you have your responsibilities to the community, right? And of course to Christ. But
also, particularly in the digital age, like
Yes.
as Tito Frank mentioned, diba, na it's a challenge right now. Like, how do you cope in raising men right now in
Yes.
in a world with a lot of influences that are beyond our control?
There are really a lot of challenges, especially now. Social media is the biggest challenge, and what we try to do is use it to our advantage. So, group chats just with the kids, or
that's nice.
me and my wife with each of our children. We have 5 children, 4 girls and 1 boy.
Oh,
Wow.
So
okay.
it's
I
really
see.
trying to really reach out and get into their world as well, seeing their challenges, but also explaining why we have certain stands on different things. So one of the stands of Missionary Families of Christ is we're very pro-life. So there's a time when I really sat them down and explained to them, what does it mean to be pro-life? Why do we have these different stands on different issues? Because if they don't hear it from us, who will they hear it from? They'll hear
Yeah.
it from
probably TikTok.
TikTok. Or
Yes.
they're not allowed to have TikTok. And we have rules at home about internet use, about certain limits only. Because we really have to take control of the influences that our children have.
I think I want to dig more on that. Ano yung mga rules natin? If it's okay to share
Yeah.
with you. Like the bawal yung TikTok, the limitations, what are
Yeah,
those?
well, first bawal yung TikTok because when I have it because I have a daily reflection video. So, but just scrolling, it's very, very liberal, very bad influences there. So we said for our kids, no TikTok. Usually, we limit the amount of time they're online during the day, especially if they're at home. And usually after dinner, we confiscate. Well, I wouldn't say confiscate. We take their gadgets so that they're not using it all hours into the night.
How about you, Franco? How do you feel?
How do you feel about
Yeah.
How do you
that?
feel about those rules? Yeah.
Pretend that your dad is not here.
Yeah, in all honesty.
Since it's the summer, I like using my gadgets late. So when it gets cut off, it gets kind of annoying sometimes. And then that's when I play around with my football at home, and then I also make food and do other stuff with my sisters. So cutting off the gadget time is also, I said it gets sometimes annoying, but it's also a good time for me to do other stuff.
It's like you're being forced to do other things rather than just be on your screen, which I think is very important nowadays. Like, not a lot of parents put a limit over their children's use of gadgets. Because right now, in a more liberal sense, people are just, okay, just do your own thing. We'll let our children, do their own thing as well with their screen time and everything. But if we're the parents and we're setting the tone also in the household, like we have some sort of authority to actually put some boundaries,
And I
which
guess
are
you
very
can
helpful.
Use us as an example. When we wake up, we're on our phone right away. The whole day, you're checking Facebook until late at night. That's what you're doing. So, like me, I'm 49 years old and I'm still doing that. How about my 14-year-old? It can't be the
Mas
same.
maraming energy.
Yes.
Yes.
If it's that addicting for me, mas lalo na sila.
But how was it implemented? Like, of course, it wasn't like bigla na lang. Like, you had to talk to them, explain
Yes,
the purpose
yeah.
of it. How was that conversation? You also have sisters. And girls are also like very, active on social media. So, how was that conversation with the rest of your...
But we just really had to sit them down and explain and get their questions and their complaints. because we also heard a lot of teachings and stories and testimonies from different people, how their children are exposed to this and that because they have unlimited access. So we don't want that to happen. So we just had to explain it.
Is Franco the youngest?
No, he's the middle.
Oh, middle.
middle.
So you have
Okay, I
two
see.
older sisters and then
And
two
two
younger.
younger.
Oh, how was your relationship? I mean, of course, it's growing up also. Just want to have a touch on that dynamic also with your siblings.
So growing up with my sisters, it's kind of hard to play around with them since they don't do the stuff that I do because I like running around and I'm athletic, but they're not really that athletic if you're watching this.
Hi to the sisters.
So whenever I'm playing, they usually don't want to play with me. But when I do, I'm like fast, so they get tired easily, and I have to play by myself. But I usually join them whenever they're doing stuff like drawing or coloring. So that's the time I bond with my sisters when they can't play with me in the stuff I like to do.
So like there's certain adjustments in terms of interest and what you like doing together, but it still is important to like do stuff together. And how does this play heavy to you raising a son among four women
Yes.
also in the family? Like, is there an extra thought for Franco in putting an environment for him?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think in the introduction you said silent fathers or something like that.
Yes.
That's really something we need to work on as fathers because our sons and our children, definitely our sons need to have a relationship with us and really see we're involved in their lives. So it takes extra effort. But now he has cousins who are older who are also boys and he's in an all-boys school. So there are more influences now and more friendships with people, boys his age.
Nag-iiba ba yung dynamic, Javi? Pagkausap is yung boy and then yung other girls.
Yeah, actually, each child,
Iba-iba.
iba-iba.
That's
Even
what my
the
mom
four
says.
girls, iba-iba sila. You can't
Yeah.
really say this is just, they're all the same. No, they're
That's
really
true.
all different.
So get back to you, Frank.
Tito Frank.
Tito Frank, sorry. Nalito
Sorry,
lang.
sorry.
Wait.
Frank.
Baka special.
I feel younger.
Kuya Frank. Siguro my question is, when you started your family with your wife, like was there a vision already of how your children would be as they establish their own families, how your grandchildren would be? And is it something that's near to what you have now?
Yes and no. Meaning to say, yun nga sabi ko, I grew up with strong Catholic parents in a very strong Catholic home. So those values were infused in me. You know, and I appreciated it and how the family was raised and the relationship. So that was always with me. Pero in my youth, I lost my way. So I became a man of the world, away from Christ and the church. So even to the time when I got married, I wasn't really that much in the Lord. So there was our family, my parents, and how we were all raised, and I looked at that as an ideal. But in my own life, I hadn't like planned or how I can shape it, and this is the way it's going to go. So parang I was just flowing, not with the right tide. So that was the challenge there. I can say I really had a vision for my own family as to how it would be. It's only when I met the Lord again, you know, experienced conversion and transformation, that yon, nagbago, and I rediscovered everything and even more deeply my faith and how fathers, parents ought to relate to their children, raise their family, what is a Christian home. So that's only when it started to fall into place.
So when you found that alignment once again with God, and you were raising up Javi and your family during that time, was there any particular important thing for you going in your mind that as you were raising Javi as your son, in the context of your faith, your community, was there anything that you were thinking of passing on from your experience to Javi and your children?
Kasi I learned a lot as I was re-entering into a life of faith. No? Even though I had very Catholic parents nga, who were very good, who disciplined us and who showed us the way. Pero like I wasn't or the family wasn't too much into the scriptures, no. So when I was starting in the renewal, I was very much into the Bible. At doon marami kong natutunan about responsibility as a parent, as a father, about family, about faith, how all of that is important. So it was a time of discovery for me. So yung mga yon na I would internalize and I try to pass on, not just to the family but to others as well.
Thank you, Tito Frank. Like, that's an inspiring story in terms of how hindi pa ako father, pero
Hindi pa.
fathers, they also journey, di ba? Parang there's no perfect journey, but having God along the way just gives you greater grace to meet you where you are and give you what you need at those different points in your life, di ba? In the milestones of your family and in your fatherhood. How about you, Javi? Like, was there any particular thing that you were hoping to pass on that you got also from Tito Frank to your own children in raising your family?
Well, the best thing that we can give them really is the foundation of their faith. And no matter what trials come along, because we don't know, though I didn't have that loss, I didn't really lose my way in my life. There was times I wasn't active, but nothing really drastic.
Yeah.
But we don't know what's going to happen to our children and what challenges they'll face along the way. But hopefully the foundation that we've laid out, they will be able to handle the challenges that they face in the future. And hopefully they also don't lose their way. But if ever that does happen, at least they know they have something to go back to.
Some sort of anchor or
Yes.
compass for our children, our faith. Yeah.
And I think that's also the legacy here. What you want to pass on as values to your family. It may not be as clean cut, na parang, okay, this is the value that I want to pass on. But I think it's more of the experience that you also have gained in your life as fathers, that you're able to enrich the knowledge that you can pass on to your kid.
Yeah.
Na parang, it would also be helpful to Franco here, seeing both generations, right? I feel like he grew up, as he mentioned, na you see them doing talks, you see how they inspire people, and that just also brought you to that point of like getting inspired.
Yeah.
No, it's very nice. It's very inspiring also as like a story of fatherhood in different generations.
I hope FRC Fan this encourages us, especially those fathers watching, to carry on and to really have our faith as the center of our fatherhood. Maka-hour na naman. Again, hindi ako kasama sa fatherhood pa. But
Our silent warriors.
yes,
silent warriors yung mga
Or probably
fathers.
they're extroverted fathers, different
Yes,
fathers,
different
right?
kinds.
But just having Christ at center of our fatherhood really makes a difference, not just for us, but for the future of our children. And so right now, actually, we're coming to a close, but we'd like to hear from each of you, probably something brief but meaningful, maybe a thank you or something that you'd like to say, siguro, to your father. So that's Franco to
Message.
Javi, and then Javi to Tito Frank, and
And
probably
me too.
your father, to our God
Up
the
there.
Father. Yes. So yeah, anything. Since this is our Father's Day special, we'd like to also honor our fathers.
I'd like to thank my dad for always helping me in my stuff growing up. Like when I couldn't choose a sport to play because I kept getting embarrassed and couldn't find the confidence in myself. He helped me realize that that the sport I want to play is football and I should have confidence in that. And he also helped me in all the troubles I've had in school and in just private life. And I'm really thankful for that.
So again, I'd like to thank my dad for really passing on the faith to us. Franco talks about confidence in sports and in personal life, really confidence in our family life, in our relationship with God. He has given us such a special gift by his witnessing and by the way he has lived his life all these years, that if ever we come across difficulties in our own married life, in our own, how we deal with our own children, in community life, we always have such a great person to look up to. So I'm very thankful for that. Happy Father's Day, Dad.
Aww.
Happy Father's Day. And syempre, babalik natin yung
Yes.
Tito Frank
God
To
naman.
the head.
So,
To our head of the family.
To your sons naman. Like, if there's anything that you want to share as a message or at this point want to say to them. Syempre, kayo ngayon, Javi, no, nasa gitna ka. So, both ends, you'll say something. Pero yun, Tito Frank to Javi.
I've always said that the blessing for families is 3 generations. No? To you, your children, and your children's children. So that is according to God's design. Kasi yung iba isipin lang, hindi ako yung parent, ito yung anak ko. So, okay, that's our relationship. I take care of them and that's it. No? But God designed it such that there will be 3 generations. No, the grandparents still have a role in their life. It overlaps and interacts. No? And when you see it that way, you can see how the family values and the faith can be transmitted down the line through the generations. No? Hindi mawawala na there are parents who some way somehow lose their way, so they're not taking care of their children. Grandparents will be there to try to fill in that gap, and then mag-aano yun down the line. And well, it's been my great joy to live the blessings of the Father, that I have my kids and my grandkids. No? Iba talaga na God has blessed us with all of them, and I just praise and thank God for all of that, and I look forward to seeing how they will continue on with their lives of faith first and foremost, and raising their own families and children, and carrying on the faith and the mission.
Now, this is a very special moment. Thank you, FRC, for having us here today. But for Franco, of course, as a father, it's I will not be a silent father, like what you mentioned a while ago. And I think I encourage all the fathers out there not to be silent fathers. Your sons need you in their life. And I will always be here and really to support him and all my children and everything that they do. Guide them in the right path and give input when needed, correction when needed, and encouragement when needed.
Salamat, Javi, Franco, and Tito Frank. Maybe if you have any last words to our FRC fam in the whole area of fatherhood and sonship, like, is there anything that you'd like to impart to them?
Even as a
from your
grandfather.
yes, as a grandfather. In your experience of being a father or being a son.
Fathers need to realize that they take the lead. They are called by God for their families to lead the way in raising their children in the Lord. Kasi kadalasan ang nangyayari, it's left to the women, to the wife. So I go get, I have to earn a living. Okay, you take care of the children. You take off prayers. I'll look at the practical things. No. It has to be the father who leads the way. He's the head of the family. And he should always reflect the very fatherhood of God. At pag nandun yung fatherhood of God and looking to our Lord Jesus, then everything else falls into place. Because all the right values are there.
Yeah, again, don't be a silent father. Like my dad said, fathers need to lead, especially in the prayer life of their family. The family that prays together, stays together. And fathers should really take the lead in that, because there's a special role that all fathers need to take. And don't be silent. Don't just sit at home and not do anything or say anything. Be more active in the life of your children.
Well, you, Franco, anything you'd like to say to
The
your
fellow
peers,
sons.
the fellow sons?
Yes.
As a son, you have to know what your dad wants you to do, like be trustful and always follow in his footsteps. So whenever you do decisions by yourself, you don't make mistakes because you realize your dad's there for you. So you're more likely to make the right decision.
Heed to your fathers.
Very smart. Very smart kid.
Yes. Yes. Very, very inspiring family here.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience of fatherhood and sonship. We've been a witness of that. Very short encounter lang to, no, ng mga
Yes.
stories nila, FRC fam. But it's very inspiring how God can be faithful from one generation to another.
Yeah.
Especially through our fathers.
Yes. Very blessed family. And thank you for sharing your stories to us
Thank you
today.
for having us.
Yes.
How about you, Chai? Anything inspiring that you got from our conversations?
Yes. Actually, we would talk to our guest today, sila Padilla Family, and what I realized, what stood out to me the most is how it's not perfect, just like any other family, but it's a matter of communication with your kids, communication with your parent, obedience from the kids, but also that trust to your dad, to your grandfather. And I think what I liked about also from Tito Frank's story is how nagkaroon siya ng phases in life, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, our dads, young or old dads, it's never gonna be that perfect story, but it's a matter of how we deal with it every day and how we face our families with just pure love, pure communication, and of course, just in the Lord with where we are in our lives.
Yes.
So, naramdaman ko yun,
na-feel mo ba
FRC
yun?
fam, naramdaman nyo ba yun?
Na-feel mo ba yung father
Yes.
mo rin doon?
Parang,
Baka may shoutout ka kay father. Kay papa mo.
Kaya nga
Oo.
sabi ko, actually, silent warriors sila. Because not all the time that they would say something, but when they do, they really know it from their heart and they really face it.
Yeah.
They have these things that they're also dealing
I
with.
think it's a very Filipino culture kind of thing to have like fathers who are there
Yes.
silently or parang very, yun nga yung sinabi ni Tito Frank, usually very on the practical side, on the providing side. But we forget that they are leaders first and foremost also in our families. And I guess that's what I want to appreciate also for my father. How he's also, nakita ko rin yun yung how they've experienced fatherhood. I also saw that with my father, making sure that faith is first and foremost in our family. And that's the greatest pamana, greatest heirloom that he can give to us. Like more than the riches, more than whatever advice, it's really anchoring us in faith. And inspiring lang kasi parang just pumasok lang sa isip ko yung something viral around TikTok and Instagram right
TikTok.
now.
Oh my
As a Gen Z.
Hindi po siya Gen Z.
No, technically I am.
Okay, fine.
Anyways.
Begin.
But there's this phrase going on that parang just a general appreciation for our parents because they're also living out their lives for the first time. Like, it's the first time for them to be fathers, for them to establish families. And so they're also figuring things out as they go.
Yes.
And that's what I saw from their family. But the difference is having God intervene makes a difference. Again, not just for you, but for the generations ahead, as Tito Frank mentioned. Na parang grabe yun, no? Like, what a privilege it is to be a father, to have generations down the line under your care.
Yes.
And that would boil down to how you heed to our Father in heaven. Holy be your name. Amen. Yes.
Yes. So again, thank you to our FRC fam. Thank you to our dear
Yes,
guests who
thank
joined
you
us
so
in
much.
this
Thank you
one
again.
episode. And I hope our FRC fam, if you have thoughts, stories, even just messages to your father, feel free to hug them.
Yes.
Tell them what you feel and just appreciate them. To all our fathers out there, happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day, pa. Love you.
Happy Father's Day.
And again, FRC fam, it's Chai.
And Rap, who leave you with the wise words of Venerable Patrick Peyton that
The family that prays together stays together.
and a world at prayer is a world at peace.
Bye.
Happy Father's Day! Happy Father's Day,
Happy Father's
Tito
Day,
Frank.
Tito Frank.
Father's
Happy
Day.
future Father's Day.
Ayan,
Yes.
kasi.
Thank you po.